Welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour.
What's happening, hot stuff?
I'm a man who discovered the wheel and built the Eiffel Tower out of metal and brawn. That's what kind of man I am.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. We're so glad you could attend. Come inside, come inside.
That's right. It's the moment you've been waiting for.
Oh, geez, look at the butt on that. Yeah. He must work out.
Time to stop worrying about your weight. Stop thinking about your jackass of a boss. And get ready to win with the Fat Jack.
Here's the deal. I'm the best there is, plain and simple. Nobody can hang with my stuff. Just a big, hairy American winning machine.
If you play the games against the spread, this is the most important hour of your day. So sit back, grab some Funyuns, and get ready to win. And now, here he is, along with the Fat Jack Dancers, the #1 sports consultant in America, the Fat Jack.
Hello and welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, the Fat Jack. The weekend is here. It's Super Weekend. Time to figure out who is the best in the NFL. San Francisco, Kansas City. San Francisco, a 2-point favorite, total of 47. We're going to break that down, get some prop bets out there, get you ready to make money all year long and much, much more. Thank you for joining us on this super special weekend. Let me bring in my co-host from Louisville, Kentucky, and get this show going, Mr. Brandon Rush. Brandon, how are you, buddy?
I am splendid, all the S superlatives. I am them this weekend.
You feeling sexy this weekend, Brandon?
You know, yeah. I mean, I've far be it from me to turn down the sexy level.
Yeah, you're in Vegas. I mean, it's super sexy time of year, and probably some two pieces running around out there. And we have a $69 super sexy Super Bowl special. So $69, Brandon, gets you all the bets you could possibly want for the big game coming up on Sunday. Predicted final score, which alone will get you 30 prop bets, because you can bet final score of this team, final score of that team, margin of victory, total this, total that, the other lines that come, all just based on the predicted final score. You also get the best bets for the game, side and total. You get the top 10 or 15 prop bets, more like 15 it's looking like. We're going to go over some of those here on the show, but you're going to get the top 10 or 15 prop bets. Those prop bets have made money every single year for over a decade. So if you're a $100 a game player, if you just put $20 on those, you're going to more than pay for the service fee most likely, and then some. Even if you can't find all of them, some of them, it depends on where you bet, but you'll be able to find plenty enough to make money on those bets far and above the super sexy $69 that you spent getting those plays. Of course, that basketball, it's about $5 or $10 a day. Longer packages save you a ton of money. Go get those right now at fatjacksports.com. Prices go up on all of the packages after Sunday. So through March Madness, through February, through the NBA Finals, through next year's Super Bowl, either football combo or whatever, you get free baseball now. You can pay out the service fee over 7 months, and you get the lowest price of the year. So go to fatjacksports.com, sign up today, and win this weekend. Brandon, how was last week? And talk to me about that. You do okay last week?
It was an interesting week. Basketball had its hits and misses. The NBA the NFL and the NHL's All-Star competitions were fun television and some fun betting opportunities just for something to do on an off week. But all in all, I was on Bachelor Week as well, so I thrived well enough to be able to travel this week. So I got through all that and ready to get fired up this weekend.
Yeah, so I'll spend a couple minutes on last week because I want to spend a couple for every minute that I talk about last week's basketball, I feel like I should talk about the last month's basketball or the last 2 months' basketball, and I don't think people need to hear that. Everybody understands out there, I'm up about 45 games in basketball over the last 2 months, over 60 games or more on the year since November, and we've won every single week in basketball since the 1st of October except last week. We had one losing week, more misses than hits. Brandon put it nicely, hits and misses. And I'm not going to apologize. I will apologize if we lost this week, 2 weeks in a row, which we're not going to. I would apologize, but I'm not going to apologize about 1 week. We lost Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, built ourselves a nice little hole. First time we've done that all year. Think about that, guys. We've been gambling since October on basketball. You've been heading into the weekend every single week of the year winning in basketball, at least a game or so, and sometimes up to 7, 8, 9, 10 games since October until Pro Bowl week. Dug ourselves a whole Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday, we won. Friday, we lost. So we're back, still down 6. Saturday, in the second half, Brandon took every single one of the games on Saturday into the second half with a double-digit lead, having underdogs. And 2 of those 4 lost.
Straight up.
Straight up, yeah. So they lost. Well, they're underdogs. So yeah, they not only lost straight up, they didn't cover either. So we go 2-2 on Saturday after literally dominating the game. So it's one of those you weren't mad the entire game. You actually felt really good about it. You're only mad at the end. But we went 2-2 in basketball on Saturday. Sunday, we had a reversal of luck fortunes. And I will tell you, Brandon, I would say it's super lucky, but I'll also tell you, we didn't talk about 2 weeks ago when we were dead even. We won on the week, but we were dead even. No, we weren't. We won Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We were dead even over those. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We were dead even over those days. But we were 0-6 on games decided by 2 points or less. And I didn't come on the next week and start complaining and we're getting unlucky. I didn't do that. I didn't even mention it. But that unlucky streak, those happen. That's called variance, called luck variance. In sports gambling, you have that. You're going to win some lucky games. You're going to lose some lucky games. Those will even out over the year. Well, on Sunday, we got back a couple of those games because we had 2 totals over. We went 3-0 on Sunday, but we had 2 totals over that went into overtime to get them over. So very, very lucky to win both of those games. But are we lucky? Are we lucky over the last week or the last 2 weeks in betting? No, we're not lucky at all. We've been winning a lot more games like the other game that I had over in the third game, Iona, and it went over by 30 points. I mean, you didn't even have to earn it. So more times than not, our wins have been like that. Recently, the losses have been some bad and some unlucky, and we hadn't had a lot of good luck. So Sunday, that reversed a little bit, went 3-0 Sunday. Ready for a huge week this week. Overall, basketball going very, very well. And the Super Bowl, I'm only going to say this once, Brandon, but the Super Bowl, you know the last time we lost the Super Bowl? I mean, when you talk about prop bets, side and or total, whichever the best bet is, we have not lost the Super Bowl in many, many, many years. I believe we've lost twice in the last 15.
I was trying to pinpoint when it was. I know it wasn't within the last 3 or 4.
No, they've been easy.
Yeah, they've been easy winners. You're right. It has been a very long time. It might have been, and I'm aging myself on this one, the Cardinals Steelers Super Bowl, and then I'm trying to remember maybe one of the Patriots.
No, it was Atlanta. It was Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta. Yeah, it's been 7 years, and I've completely blocked that out of my memory.
Yeah, because that would hurt. Up 23-3 at half, and ended up losing.
28-3 and lose that game.
I lost a Volkswagen Jetta on that second half. It was
you had some futures that were primed and ready to.
I did. I was cashing tickets, and I never do that in the Super Bowl. You never cash them. I never start adding up. You know, you got a whole stack of tickets there. Typically, you never start adding up and say, "Well, I'm going to win $48,000 today." No, you're not. Tom Brady is going to come back all the way and beat him in overtime. So yeah, you're not going to do any of that. Anything of such. Yeah, we lost once in the last 7 years, twice in the last 15 years. Bottom line, Super Bowl's generally speaking a very profitable weekend. And you add in those prop bets, very, very profitable. So $69 there. Get everything or add basketball, save money. We'll talk about the longer packages after we take a break here in a little bit, and how that really is what you should be doing right now. You basically get the weekend for free, along with about 2.5 months of sports for free when you sign up through the 2025 Super Bowl. We'll talk about that after the break. I was in Denver last week. I went skiing. Actually, I started in Denver, went to Vail. Went skiing with my baby. That was last week, right? We haven't had a show.
Yeah. We talked about that. She broke her collarbone or whatever.
We did. Did we talk about my my homeless buffet that I set out?
No.
Heard about that?
No.
So Brandon, I can't catch a break with the homeless. I mean, I try to do.
What's the winning streak like with?
I can't win. I can't win with the homeless. When I travel to a lot of cities, Brandon. There's a ton of homeless people.
Sure.
And Los Angeles. All of California, basically, but Los Angeles, Santa Monica, all that. I go to Vegas, obviously, a lot. I go to South Florida a lot, and I go to Denver a lot. I'm always surprised at the amount, and I understand homelessness. I absolutely is about mental illness first and foremost. And I go to New York a lot. And if you don't think it's about mental illness, go to New York in February and see how many homeless people there. If they had any idea about where it would be good to be homeless, every one of them would be in Santa Monica.
Or San Diego,
Or San Diego. They catch a bus because the weather alone would keep you out of cities like New York, Chicago, and Denver certain times of the year. Mental illness drives homeless. So it's just not about homeless people, other than to say that when I'm in these big cities, Brandon, for some reason, and they've got some of the cities, the homeless have gotten more aggressive than others, and they're aggressive. And they will, do you have a dollar? Do you have a quarter? Do you have no? I have a credit card. Do you take Venmo? I mean, that whole thing.
Right.
And actually, I've got some yeses from that. I've got homeless people that said, yeah, I take Venmo. Send it to @crackhead24, that type of stuff. So, but anyway, so I'm down, and there's homeless everywhere. So we come back down the mountain after Denver, and I bought Katie a bunch of snacks because she hurt her shoulder and did something to her AC joint. And so I got this whole bag of snacks. Well, she then left to go to California, and I'm getting ready to get on a plane. Well, you can't not only could I not take the snacks, I had like a 12-pack of Coke, Diet Coke, bottled waters, all of it. So I thought it was Monday morning or whenever I was leaving, Tuesday morning, and I thought, okay, I'm going to go out, find some homeless or whatever, and I'm going to give them the groceries. Instead of just throwing them away or leaving them in the room,
Right.
I'll go give it to some homeless people because that's just going to be wasted, right? So I go downstairs, I walk outside. Brandon, there are no homeless people anywhere. I can't find a homeless person. So I'm walking around, big bag of groceries, lugging around 12 packs of Coke and Diet Coke and water, walking the streets of downtown Denver, and I turn a corner. There's a guy with one leg, and I think, well, maybe he's homeless. Maybe it's bad. No, he's waiting on an Uber. Dude's sitting there waiting on an Uber. He's not homeless. The last thing you want to do is have some fat idiot come up and give you a bag full of groceries if you're just sitting there waiting on an Uber.
You're minding your own business, lost a leg somehow, some way, and some dude's just coming up like, hey, do you want some Cheetos?
Do you want some food? Yeah. So now I'm getting pissed. I'm walking. My back's starting to hurt. I'm fatiguing. Right. The homeless are nowhere to be found. So after
can't find them when you need them.
I can't find them when I need them. I just need one person that's rolled over in a sleeping bag who might want to have some food and drinks for the day. And so I got so fed up. I went over, and outside a bank, there was this big ledge. And so I took my bag of groceries and I set it. I thought, you know what? Let's set up a buffet here. And so I set them up.
Of snacks.
Little potluck of snacks and drinks. I had a whole section for beverages and had some Diet Cokes, had bottle Avion or Fiji waters, had them lined up. Oh, who doesn't? They're filtered, come natural springs.
It's the best of the bottled waters. I will not have an argument about this.
Exactly. So I've got them lined up, and then I thought, you know what? Let's put the candy next. You go from the water, you go to the candy. I put the whole candy section. Then chips, lined up the chips. I had some beef jerky. I laid it out there for a little protein at the end. So I had this whole probably 10-foot-long buffet, and then I turn around. Nobody's there. I have nobody. So I just yelled, hey, anybody want a buffet? It's over here for free. And it echoed throughout the canyons of downtown Denver. Then went back. Yeah. So I went back to the hotel. I don't know what happened to it. Hopefully somebody showed up
and not have the fruits of your labor wasted.
Street cleaner roll by and blow it all away or something. So anyway, that's what happened last week. Glad to be out of Denver. I like Denver, but it's, it's snowy and cold and everything. So the game, let's talk about the game, Brandon.
Yep.
Kansas City and San Francisco. The line, it's been a little bit of an anomaly with the line. The line has opened 2.5. It was bet back to Kansas City. So now it got bet down as low as 1 or 1.5. Then you had some big bets. This is all prior to Pro Bowl weekend. You had some big bets come in on San Francisco. Had $1 million out of Michigan. You had probably 6 or 7 six-figure bets come in on San Francisco later in the week. So a couple $1 million in big bets. Expect that to be 10-fold or 20-fold leading up to the game. You will have a ton of people. I mean, the parking, this is like the F1 stuff. The parking for jets in Vegas is sold out.
I saw that.
They're having to land, drop off their rich people, and then go somewhere else to park. And so all those people, there will be a ton of people simply based on it's the Super Bowl, they're in town, they're going to the game, that they're going to bid $1 million. As a matter of fact, I talked to 2 line setters, and they said, yeah, we've had more inquiries about how many $1 million bets we'll take, and it's been tenfold from what we normally get.
Wow.
So expect huge, huge volume this weekend coming in on the game. Now, does that mean they're winning gamblers? No, absolutely not. It means they're rich. They're into private equity. They're into, they own Johnson. I don't know what they do, but most of them
inherited something from their great grandfather who built railroads.
And they're going to make a big weekend out of Super Bowl weekend. That's really all that is. So if you're on Twitter and you're following the big bets, be real careful on what you're following, because basically you're just following a rich guy who wants to have a good time. So that's typically most professional gamblers, Billy Walters included, who's known as the best sports gambler ever, is never going to put $1 million on a game when he can spread it out and give himself a much better chance of winning. And more importantly, a game like this that is very tight on the line. Turnovers will have a ton to do with who wins. Turnovers have a ton to do with the total, who wins the total. There's not enough advantage for a guy that's actually trying to win money betting on sports to triple or quadruple their bet. And that is really the lesson for the average guy out there listening to the show that's like, hey, I'm going to go to Kansas City. I'm going to go to Denver. I'm going to bet the game. Be careful not to bet a ton more, because that will just get you in trouble. We're going to make money, a lot of money, bet within your means, but don't kick this game up money-wise simply based on the fact that it's the Super Bowl and you want to bet more, right?
Absolutely. If you are especially a client of the Fat Jack Sports Service, this is just one game. And granted, like we talked about a bit about last week, yes, it's the biggest game for some of these players in the history of their lives. It's a normal Sunday for everybody else. Yeah, you want to have a good time. If you want to bet more, hey, that's what dive into the props. The prop bets became popular because of the Super Bowl. If you're going to go crazy, maybe do it there. Maybe do it where you have an opportunity to, like you said, kind of spread it around and give yourself an opportunity to win more on that than opposed to just one wager on that could be thrown around because a snap goes over the quarterback's head on the first play of the game. Or
just, if you're going to bet more, understand that you're doing it with added risk, because my guys, let's say a $100 player of mine who just played football this year, they're up $5,000 or $6,000 after the service fee. So they've got, if you're a $100 player and you're up $5,000 and you just play football or whatever, and you want to bet $500 or go ahead. This isn't Russia. Do what you want. You want to bet more, bet more. I don't care, but just understand what you're doing. Don't bet more expecting to win based on an advantage. This game will have no more advantage, in a lot of cases less advantage than a Tuesday MAC game might have. So that's really the point. Be careful in what you do. We'll break down the game coming up in the second segment. We're going to talk about props a lot more also in the second segment. Both of those prop bets have become a totally different world for not only the players but the sports books. Brandon, there's 3-1 money right now coming in on the prop bets over the side and total.
That's insane to me. Yeah,
it's become the thing. And I will tell you, it is also, there's some of the easiest money out there in some of these prop bets. Here's the general rule with prop bets. If you're a casual player, you're going to try to bet a little bit of money to make a lot of money. You bet $100 to make $500. If you're a sharp player, a guy that's betting for money, as stupid as that sounds, you're going to find things that are mispriced, but most of the time you're going to have to lay money to win money. So 320 to win 100, something like that. But it's more likely to happen, and the line has been moved away from where it should be based on the general public players that are the volumes and volumes of general public players that like to bet a little bit of money to make a lot of money. Other thing about prop bets is that if you're betting props, if you bet overs, you want to bet over on some of these prop bets, you want to do that earlier in the week. Because as Vegas fills up, you're really a little bit late by the time you're listening to this show this week. But you want to bet overs early in the week. If you want to bet under, go ahead and wait. So wait until all the general public money comes in and bets over. For instance, if you like Travis Kelce to have more, he was 6.5 receptions when the prop bets came out. He might even be 7 by the time we're going now. But if you like Travis Kelce over 7 receptions, let's say, you'll want to bet that right when the prop bets come out, the Monday of the Pro Bowl week up until about Thursday of the Pro Bowl week. After that, you would want to wait. If you like under in Travis Kelce's Pro Bowl or his receptions, go ahead and wait. Wait until the day of the game. In fact, one of the biggest gambling syndicates I know of, they'll have $2 or $3 million bet on the prop bets alone coming up to the game. And 85, their biggest challenge, Brandon, is how they're able to wait as long as humanly possible, because their general consensus is they will bet under on most of the prop bets, waiting on the general public to inflate the lines, move the numbers up, and then they'll come in and bet under, getting the best value of the line. The problem becomes when you're trying to bet $2 or $3 million on props, you can't do that an hour before the game.
No, you especially can't do it in person, because every person who's ever seen a football game has $40 in their pocket and they're waiting in line to make that wager at a sports book. So yeah, you definitely have to be coordinated. And if you're able to do it on the apps, it definitely helps.
It's app-based, but even at that, when you're trying to run in $2 or $3 million, you're getting approval every single time you press go. Now, they'll get approved most of the time.
Right.
But if you try to put 2,000 or 3,000 at a time on an app, which is about as high as you can get on a prop bet, most of them have $2,000 limits, but 2,000 or 3,000 at a time, if you press enter, it then has to go to a supervisor who's standing by waiting to approve the bet based on the amount of history.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's volume. So if they're one-sided on the prop bet, if they have $1 million on over on Kelsey's receptions, and you want to bet, and they have 300,000 under, and you want to bet under for 3,000, it won't take but a couple minutes, and they'll say, yeah, go. But they still are going to look at it with every single one of those prop bets. So that takes time. So $2 million on their estimate, they do this every year. It takes about 12 hours of 3 or 4 guys sitting there getting approval during operation. Now, you can't do it 2 a.m. Nobody's there to approve it. So you got to do it during the day. So it's a lot of Saturday action and then Sunday morning. So all these things are going on Super Bowl weekend that you, generally speaking, won't have taking place. It makes it even more so reason to go to FatJackSports.com, get signed up, and start winning today.
You're listening to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Call 1-800-298-1383, or the simplest thing, log on to FatJackSports.com and get ready to win.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to FatJackSports.com, where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. FatJackSports.com.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. And now here is our host. We think he's super. He's the Fat Jack.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 2, super sexy weekend. Ooh, sexy. It's getting hot in here. Ready for the big game, $69. Get you everything through football for the big game, including side, total, predicted final score, top prop bets, all of it, $69 at FatJackSports.com. Longer packages save you a ton of money, about half price on what you're going to pay if you wait until the summer even, and beyond that. And certainly if you're a guy that goes weekly or monthly, you are saving 60 to 70% off taking that approach to winning money betting on sports, even starting in September. So pay out the service fee over 7 months, get signed up today, and start winning. 30% of the money so far, Brandon, at San Francisco -2 has come in on San Francisco. 70% on Kansas City. Almost 70% on the over. 82% of the money line money, and that's not surprising, coming in on Kansas City for the big game. General public loves Kansas City. The sharps are kind of split at this point. I have a gut feeling that a lot of them are going to pound San Francisco leading up to the game. I just have a feeling of that. Hard to bet against Mahomes in the playoffs. Guys, 10-1-1 against the spread as an underdog. They've been incredibly good. You get the better quarterback with Mahomes in Kansas City. You get the better coach as far as experience goes in this situation. Kansas City also, Brandon, the first team in the history of the NFL to hold every single opponent under 28 points. We talk about Mahomes, we talk about Kelsey, but this is the first team ever to 20 games hold their opponent under 28 points.
That is a very, very good stat. I don't think that people understand, especially in this day and age in the NFL, where offense is king and the entire game is garnered to allowing offenses to flourish, that defense has gone really kind of unrecognized in that accomplishment. That's really big.
It actually shows how bad the offense has been.
Right.
This team has offense has done enough, but this team set an all-time record on amount of games holding teams under 20 points. The second place on that list are the 2000 Ravens, Tampa Bay from 2002, the 05 Steelers, and the 2010 Green Bay Packers. All held their opponents 19 games under 28 points, and every one of those teams won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so all those defenses, you can name guys on those teams that are in the Hall of Fame now. So yeah,
and that's what's funny, Brandon. Other than Chris Jones, how many Kansas City Chiefs defensive players can you name?
I mean,
not many, right?
Yes, can do plenty, but yeah, the average person, not many. There's not, like you said, outside of Chris Jones, I doubt there's one dude on this defense right now that'll make the Hall of Fame.
This has been an incredible year because you've got such flash and talent on the offensive side that's underperformed. And those two haven't necessarily, but the rest of the guys have overall on the year. Where the defense has been next level good. They've gone under the total 70% of their games are 14-6 to the under this year. San Francisco, 11-8 to the over. So 55%, they're about, push about 55% they've gone over the total. The key, real big stat in both these teams, Brandon, Kansas City second half points, 7.6 points per game in the second half of games. They're 30th. San Francisco, 14.1 points in the second half of their games this year. That's first. So I can make you a really nice case for either one of these teams, and I bring up that stat because we're going to talk about prop bets.
Yep.
So let's talk about props. Any props that jump out to you and say, hey, let's get after that one?
On that note, highest scoring half to be the first half, I feel like is a high. I mean, it's plus money, depending on where you get it. To me, that kind of seems like what this game is going to lead to, because we've seen Kansas City score early and then just shut everything down in the second half, as you mentioned. 14 of the 20 games they've played so far this season under the total. That is pretty telling in and of itself, I think. And
that's on the game. On the second half, it's been even higher. This team, what I try to do when I'm looking at prop bets is I try to find something that I feel like I can count on because it's happened consistently over the year. And then, as importantly, it's really hard to fix. You can't fix it. And those are stats that if you could fix second half, throw out against Baltimore. All right, because Baltimore made as many of their own problems as they could. They fumble going in the end zone. They give the ball up. They moved between the 20s, couldn't get in the end zone. But if you look at the whole year, Kansas City teams winning games, but not doing it while scoring in the second half. So that, to your point, based on that one stat, and if you want to combine that with the stat that San Francisco leads the league in second half scoring, you can take those two numbers and do exactly what you're talking about. How about this? Kansas City wins the second half, or wins the first half.
First half. San Francisco wins the second.
San Francisco wins the second half. Higher point total. If you think the game's going to be close, which everybody does, including the line setters, the sharpest players in the world, and the biggest idiots, most people will tell you that the game should be pretty close. That you can say, okay, well, if it's going to be close, then Kansas City may not run away and hide in the first half, but they're going to probably outscore. Based on it being close at the end of the game, they're going to outscore San Francisco in the first half. So Kansas City wins the first half. Kansas City scores more points in the first half, more points in the first half than the second half. The second half gets ugly if one of the teams get blown out. So if you think that's going to happen, you would be the opposite of all these bets. San Francisco wins the first half. Kansas City has to open it up more in the second half. Yep. They either throw interceptions or they give more possessions to McCaffrey and company, blah, blah, blah. So those are two things. You can also dig even deeper. Kansas City wins the first half, and San Francisco wins the game, if you like it that way. You can bet Kansas City to win the first half and to win the game. You can bet that with amount of points that they would win by. First half money line. So we've listed 10 bets based on the sole fact that we think there's a probability that Kansas City will continue to struggle scoring points in the second half, but the game will be close. So that's how you handle prop bets. If you're talking about players, my problem with betting anything but over, and believe me, it's probably a little late for this, but over with like Kelsey's number and Christian McCaffrey's number, is that no matter how the game sets up, there's not a world, in my opinion, that they do not continue to get Kelsey involved. No team has proven, including Baltimore, that had the best defense in the league, has proven that they can stop Kelsey and not guard him, just simply guard him. And I will tell you, Brandon, this San Francisco defense, and I've talked to a couple of NFL players about this. What's the problem with this San Francisco defense? Why they look like Swiss cheese against Detroit? And they've been giving up rushing yards. They remind me a little bit of a rich man's version of what Philadelphia was. Where early in the year they were great defensively, and then later in the year they've been wear down and struggling. They have great players. If you look at the players top to bottom on their roster versus Kansas City, they're a better roster. Now, they don't have a better
I would firmly agree, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah,
that's right. Don't have a better quarterback, don't have a better coach, but they defensively especially, this is a very good defensive team. But there is a chance, Brandon, what we're seeing is that this is the third defensive coordinator for San Francisco in the last 3 years.
Yep, D'Amico Ryans left to go be the head coach of the Houston Texans. The year before that, Robert Saleh was named the head coach of the New York Jets. So yeah, a lot of turnover and change.
And there's a chance that all of these offenses, who are brilliant minds, have figured out how to take advantage, or maybe he has tendencies. Steve Wilkes, I believe, is doing a bad job. He's doing a bad job with great players. Now, is it enough to overcome the fact that he's got super talent all over the field? I'm not saying that. I'm saying that those type of things are things that you'll want to look at when you're betting the prop bets, and those are also reasons why this game might be San Francisco a lot closer, even though their power rating over the course of the season is much better than what Kansas City is. We already talked about Kansas City's weaknesses in scoring points and so on and so forth. So a lot of different storylines, a lot of different ways to look at it. Another interesting stat, Brandon. Super Bowl winners. The winners have covered all but 10 of the last 56 Super Bowls. So you, generally speaking, don't have to worry about the points. If you find the winner, you get you cover also. They're 46-7-3 against the spread. The Super Bowl winners are. So whether you like the favorite, you like the underdog, generally speaking, you don't have to worry about the points. That's kind of freeing. That's a nice thing. Underdogs have been good on the money line because of that. So you're okay to look underdogs in those spots as well. So just a few things to look at. I had another one that was and by the way, $69. Go get signed up today. All the games. It's super sexy. All right. We're going to have such a sexy weekend for $69. Predicted final score, best bets in the game, and the top prop bets. Settle in for a very, very winning, great Sunday all the way around. Very satisfying Sunday, I think, on this super sexy special. So get signed up today. If you're out there and you're coaching Little League this fall, Brandon, I had another point about the game I wanted to say that was a big one. Let's do coin tosses. You want to do that?
Oh boy, I coin toss is the one that, for whatever reason, annoys me the most, because literally the betting on the outcome of a flip of a coin. You can do that with your friends at your table. I don't know why you would go to a sports book and give them juice to bet on a coin flip.
There's been $1 million bet placed on tails.
Oh God,
we will have heads. For sure. Anybody, I don't care how much money you have, if you're dumb enough to go give them $50,000 to book your heads versus tails bet, because you can get 105 at the casinos. But if you're dumb enough to give them $50,000 to win $1 million betting on heads, I'm going to pull against you. We're going to bet. No, it's betting on tails. We're going to flip over and bet heads. Since 2006, heads and tails 9-9, dead even. Shocking, right?
Or I mean, it's amazing how the math on that works. Yeah.
The total's been even also. It's actually one game. It's like 18-17-1 overs to under. So not really an advantage in recent, the last 35 years or so on the coin toss either. I'm stalling because I had something that I wanted to tell you about the game before I got into Little League coaches. Let's just go to Little League coaches real quick, and then we'll probably come back. If you're coaching Little League and you are in the cage right now with your son or daughter, and you are, and there was a kid that was there when Jackson was about 12, and this kid threw 75 miles an hour or whatever. And every time you go over the cage, it was like a dog show. He's showing off his show pony.
Mm-hmm.
And kid's throwing it, firing it down the middle. And this guy weighed 900 pounds, the dad did. And he was about 5'9", 900 pounds.
5'9" by 5'9".
5'9" by 5'9". Barely had to spin sideways to get to the door. And I thought at the time, I don't know. Probably not going to make it. Might make it, probably not going to make it. Even though he was that good. Something to keep in mind. So I'm mainly talking to you if you are a carpenter or a fireman or a wrestling coach or whatever you are, and you are pretty good in school, and you're pretty sure that your son or daughter is really, really good, and they're under 16. Because at 16, you can kind of start telling a little bit more. But anywhere under 15, 13, 12, 14, 9, I don't care. If you are that guy and you're listening to the show, by the way, thank you for listening, because I appreciate it, because I'm going to say something that you're not going to love. But I do appreciate you listening. I appreciate your effort with your kid and with the other kids that you're affecting in their life. But if you think your son or daughter is going to end up making money playing sports, and you are a carpenter or fireman or an engineer or whatever it is you are, you have lost your freaking mind. There's such a small chance that he's going to. You might want to back up your 120-game baseball schedule this year to 40 games and go to the lake a little bit more. And here's my point, Brandon. Did you know that both of the quarterbacks' dads in the Super Bowl were both Major League Baseball pitchers?
Was aware of that.
Here's what happens in sports, and this is from a dad who's lived the entire thing, from Little League to high school to college, all of it. Here's what happens. If you are Jonathan Hayes' son, who coached for OU, played for Kansas City Chiefs, and was a coach for the Bengals, then your son, Jackson Hayes, is probably going to play for the Lakers, which he is right now. If you are Kevin Wilson, who was a good football player into college, your son is probably going to play in college. If you are a 5'9" fireman for Noble, Oklahoma, your son probably going to be a fireman in and around, maybe in Meeker or someplace in your area. That's probably what's going to happen. So I'm all for shooting for the stars. My point, though, on this Super Bowl weekend, this sexy Super Bowl weekend, is that don't put all your eggs in that basket. More importantly, don't affect your son or daughter's life in a way that's good. They're going to be hurting into their 20s, 30s, and 40s because you're chasing down a dream that you didn't do, and they're not going to do either. Because that's what's going to happen. Most of the guys in this game, this Super Bowl game, their parents played at least in college. And that's the facts, Brandon. That's the reality. My niece, who goes to Mustang High School, she is on this. She's a softball player, and I don't give a rip about softball as far as I can throw it. But I've become a little bit of a fan. I went to the national tournament in L.A., and on her team, they won the national championship. She plays on this team out of Alabama or something where everybody loves softball and dirt. And so they're in L.A., but on this team, Brandon, the girls, they're not from Oklahoma for the most part. They're from all around. Their parents all played professional sports. Marcus Ware's kids on the team. I mean, there's like 5 NFL dudes on the team. Their daughters are on the team, and they're long, and they're athletic, and they're great. And even the ones that didn't. Mom played tennis for Stanford, and mom played basketball for LSU. It's people who go to that level, their kids most of the time go to that level. And the ones that end up being a carpenter in, Deer Creek, your kid's probably going to be a carpenter in Deer Creek, which, again, is fine. Shoot for the moon. Don't expect it because it's probably not going to happen. That's my public service announcement. Fat Jack Sports. And by the way, don't at me. Don't email me. Don't care. Don't even have a kid in the game. My kid's on Wall Street, killing it. My daughter's graduating from college. I'm not interested in Little League. If I go, it is for amusement only and to avoid the parents out there that think that they're playing for anything other than development of their children. I want you to, just keep it in mind, Brandon, because I was not great at keeping it in mind.
Sure, sure. But to your point, scholarships aren't being awarded today.
They're not.
If you're playing in 8th grade, if your kid's 13, you might get some look from a private high school in your area. Let's pump the brakes a bit.
Very rare. Usher's first song at halftime. Yeah,
I think that's got it. And here's the thing: his catalog isn't as deep as many people would like to think. So I'm very curious to see what kind of show he puts together because
he's going to have special guests. That's what Usher.
He's got to. I mean, if Lil Jon ain't there, by the way, Lil Jon Saturday night is performing somewhere in town. Allegedly, might be in attendance.
Thought you were going to the comedy show Saturday.
I am, but it's a 24-hour city, Jack.
It's going to be a big weekend. Such a big weekend. You got a pocket full of cash, and Little John's performing late.
Hey,
my God, you're going to be
T-Pain and Lil Wayne are playing at Topgolf. I mean, this is going to be an event.
There's going to be something around every corner.
The Wu-Tang Clan is doing a residency. How am I not involved?
Thank you. If you're not going, but guys, sign up at FatJackSports.com. If you want to be up a ton of money and be looking at the Wu-Tang Clan next year in wherever they're going to play, Detroit or whatever, go get signed up today because that's what we're doing right now. We're not worried about who's going to win the game. We're celebrating a huge year.
We're trying to figure out how in the heck we're going to spend the entire weekend in town and not sleep.
Where can we get drugs to keep us up all night that we won't be addicted to come Monday morning? And that's not a thing. That's what I mean. We can't do it. I'm not going to do it. But I wish there was a pill I could take to stay up 24/7 for 3 days and then never take it again.
Just flush it out of your system, and then the next thing you know, you're getting a sausage biscuit at Dairy Queen on Monday morning like nothing happened.
No harm, no foul. But that's not a thing. But those are things I'm worried about. Yeah is the favorite. My Way, co-favorite.
Yeah.
DJ's got Us Falling in Love is 5-1.
I think he closes with that.
Love in the Club is 6-1. Those are
not his best work.
Yeah, those are the favorites. So probably, I mean, if you want to just heat it up, and I think these are offshore. If you want to just heat up first song of Usher, in My Way, you're getting plus 225 on both of those. You could take a 25% profit on all, bet 1,000, make 250, and just bet on both. If you're pretty sure that he's not going to lead in with. Now, if he opens with Love in the Club, you're going to break something.
Yeah, there will be words spoken.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a halftime show, and I got much more. But if you had $1 million, you had to put it on one prop bet.
Yep.
Let's find that one prop bet that you would put $1 million to make. And it can't be minus 900. So
no, I already got it. I already know what it is. And it's plus money.
Oh, boy, you want to talk about Kenny freaking Rogers. I've hired Kenny freaking Rogers to run this show with me. Guys got $1 million? Yeah, pay me 1.2, bitches. That's what's happening. You might beep that out. But yeah, that's what's happening here. We're going plus money on the $1 million frontline winner. Don't go anywhere. We're going to come back with the $1 million prop bet. Who's going to win the best bet of the game? Maybe, probably not the best bet. You got to be sexy. $69 to get that. But you want the second best bet in the game? I'll probably give you that and much, much more to wrap up the Super Bowl edition of the Fat Jack Sports Hour.
You're listening to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Call 1-800-298-1383 or the simplest thing, log on to fatjacksports.com and get ready to win. Hey, it's Brandon Rush from the Fat Jack Sports Service. If you want to stay in touch with everything related to the Fat Jack, follow us on all the socials. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you name it. We are there at Fat Jack Sports. You can also watch the Fat Jack Sports Hour on YouTube every weekend. Plus, see funny clips from the show. See Jack's appearances on the nationally syndicated TV show Beat the Odds. Stay connected to the Fat Jack at Fat Jack Sports on all the socials and on YouTube.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to fatjacksports.com, where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. fatjacksports.com.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and for the final time this football season, here's our host, the Fat Jack.
Thank you, Brandon, so much. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 3. Getting you out of here on the Super Bowl edition. It is the last, Super Bowl's this weekend, but it's not the last edition of the Fat Jack Sports Hour. We'll be back next week. We'll be talking about college basketball, about the NBA, about whatever comes into our mind.
Recap the weekend.
Recap how much money we made over the weekend, so much more. So go to fatjacksports.com, and I say this every year, but if you want to next year be one of the ones that's actually winning money betting on sports, then go right now to fatjacksports.com and get signed up to make money. We're going to have another great year. We're having a great year, and that's going to continue. Brandon, one prop bet. You got $1 million?
I don't have $1 million, but if I did, I would put it on this one prop bet. I actually bet this every year, at least for the past maybe 5 or 6 years, and haven't had as much luck. However, I am very confident in it this year because of the teams and the players and the coaches that are in the game. Over 2.5 players to attempt a pass. Right now listed to DraftKings at like plus 124. And that's what I got it at, for much less than $1 million. But two of the most innovative play callers offensively. You have a bunch of guys on these teams who played quarterback either in high school or college. And you have especially a team in Kansas City that is not afraid to try some silly stuff around the end zone and goal line situations, short yardage situations. I firmly believe this is my favorite prop bet of the entire sheet. And the fact that it's plus money, I'm a bit greedy, but yeah, cash me 1.2.
It is a long shot every year. It rarely hits, but it is a fun bet to bet, and it does make a lot of sense. It opened at 175 at Caesars. I mean, almost 2-1, and that's been bet down because a lot of people like you.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a whole lot of reasons you can see it happening, and it's a fun bet to place. A long shot one that it's also plus money I'll give people. I've done this the last 4 years or so, and it hasn't hit the last 2 or 3 years. But we didn't talk about the kickoffs. The opening kickoff of the game is for it not to be a touchback. Now, both these dudes have pretty big legs, so it might be a touchback. But
plus, they use special balls that they're only used for the opening kickoff. So yeah, they don't get as worked up as some of the other kicking balls do. That's
why it's a commemorative ball. They start the Super Bowl with a commemorative football that they immediately after the opening kickoff take it and send it to Canton, Ohio, to the Hall of Fame. So it's only used for the kickoff. It is not an actual football that they would use the rest of the year. It's a commemorative one. Hasn't mattered lately. This game is indoors, so maybe this is a better bet when they're at Santa Clara or someplace like that. But not to be a touchback is certainly a long shot to look at because it is plus money as well. I would, if you can find Kansas City's second half total under, there's not been an easier bet in the NFL this year than Kansas City to not score points in the second half. They're averaging 7.6 a game. There's a bunch of different scenarios that they would not score a bunch of points in the second half or have to score a bunch of points in the second half. Bets like fewer points in the second half than the first half. A lot of those are going to be underdogs or plus money. Those are certainly something to look at, so I would look at those as well. I have a selection on the side, or the total and an opinion on the side. So if you want to get that, $69 at fatjacksports.com. I'm giving neither out on the air because we are going to have a huge weekend, and it's time to get signed up for that. Brandon, any final thoughts?
Longest punt return under 17.5 yards and a kick to hit the uprights plus 850.
Those are all fun also. So that comes from a guy that has made a ton of money this year betting on sports and is ready to celebrate his Super Bowl weekend. So if you want to be that, go get signed up today and start winning. Other than that, guys, wager responsibly. Don't drink and drive. You go to a party, don't get in your car afterwards drunk. It's only bad things will happen. Have a great week. Next week, we're going to talk about the 60 Minutes, all the stuff we didn't talk about this week. So we'll have a big show next week as well. Tune back in. Also see how we did during the big game. Until next week, for Brandon the Fat Jack, this has been Fat Jack Sports Hour.
You're listening to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Call 1-800-298-1383 or the simplest thing, log on to fatjacksports.com and get ready to win.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to fatjacksports.com where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. fatjacksports.com.